So there's a very sinister new character that now is becoming a prominent player in right-wing media, and it is really reminiscent of Soviet-era propaganda, not only in substance, but also kind of in appearance. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. Some relatively short period of time ago, Donald Trump hired a new spokeswoman, and that spokeswoman is a woman named Liz Harrington. And I'm going to play a couple of clips of her from the media from the last couple of days. And it is not only what comes out of her mouth that is sort of out and out Soviet style propaganda. Even the appearance is weird, where like it's not clear if it's a green screen or what's going on. But even like her skin tone and the production value is reminiscent of like Cold War era propaganda and or hostage type videos. And it's all very, very crazy. So let's take a look at this first clip. This is from Real America's Voice, The War Room with, I guess, Steve Bannon. I don't know. Let's take a look at this. And, this could be straight out of the Soviet era Russia.
They can try to raid as many Donald J. Trump supporters as they want. We're just going to keep coming. We're going to keep pressing forward. We're going to get the truth about the election, and everyone will believe it. Everyone already knows that this election was wrong, that something was not right.
It is 15 months since the election she's talking about. 15 months. And much like we've seen in propaganda movements elsewhere, North Korea insists Kim Jong-il really got a hole in one on every hole the first time he played golf and controls rainbows and, all this different stuff. And nobody believes it, but at the same time, everybody sort of pretends to believe it, and they keep repeating it, and you have to go along. Similar to the things we hear out of Russia, similar to things we've heard from, all sorts of different places. And the production value is like a cross between Soviet propaganda videos and old 90s video games I used to play, like Duke Nukem 3D. I mean, it's all just strange. But 15 months later, folks, they are saying, the evidence is coming. Any day now, we're going to get the evidence. Here's another clip. Also, again, I don't know if it's a poorly lit green screen or what it is, but she looks like she's being held hostage. And here's a longer propaganda clip.
Liz, I think one of the reasons a lot of our colleagues in the old media don't want to talk about it is they know he is going to be a force du jour in the next election. I recently saw a little letter that Governor Youngkin sent the president thanking him for his help in getting elected in Virginia. That's something that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. But tell us about how Donald Trump is going to play a role in the 2022 election as Kevin McCarthy and troops try to take back the House and the Senate.
Well, the power of the endorsement, that's another thing that is ignored by the fake news, but it's not ignored in the world of politics. I can tell you, everyone wants the Trump endorsement. They're always hounding us for that ever important endorsement because they know it will put them over the finish line. So
now, it's not really true that Trump's record is so good. I mean, in the 2018 midterms, to go back to a midterm, Trump endorsed 75 candidates and about half of them won. 55% won. It's not that good, particularly when you consider the power of incumbency and a bias to success when you're endorsing incumbents. During Trump's entire presidency, 2017 to 2021, Ballotpedia tracked 305 Trump endorsements. And then when he left office, he made another 49 endorsements. So that's 354 total. His record was 77% won. And again, there's a major bias to success because he mostly was endorsing incumbents, and incumbents usually win. So his record really isn't that good, but it doesn't matter. They have now gone fully in this. You can't believe what anybody tells you. You can't believe what you see. You can't believe what you hear. You can't even believe what you believe is to be evidence. Even that you have to doubt. You have to believe what Liz Harrington tells you from her bizarrely lit, extremely weird screen that she's coming to you from. And this is likely going to continue. And if and until, yesterday we talked about the whole Rogan thing, Rogan saying people aren't smart if they listen to me for vaccine advice. And much the same way, the people that are watching this stuff are people who don't have the critical thinking skills. They don't have the media literacy wherewithal to question the messages and the things that they are being told. And so in all likelihood, they're going to continue believing it. And the impacts of that are certainly going to be felt in the midterms. Hey, this is kind of funny. We are now on Rumble, the right-wing network. Rumble claims to be the free speech platform. Everything's allowed. It's all allowed respectfully. Everything's just all good. So we put some of our content up on Rumble. We have 247 subscribers as of right now. We're just putting our liberal content on there, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to figure out, are they really the free speech platform, or do we get ourselves banned? Do we get ourselves shadow banned? Because remember, all of the claims that the right wrongly makes about platforms like YouTube, Facebook, where the right dominates, Twitter, etc., all the claims that they falsely make, we will now test on Rumble. Do they deprioritize us? Do they ban us? Whatever. Now, maybe they don't. I am really interested to see what happens. You can find our Rumble page at davidpakman.com/Rumble. It'll redirect you. And you can subscribe to our channel or whatever. If you do, we had a really good time during our stream with this. Make sure you're leaving comments about just how great it is that we finally have liberal content on here and whatever. That being said, a lot of people are not thrilled that we are on Rumble. One guy who goes by the handle American Guy, almost immediately when we posted our first clip, showed up and said, and here come the liberals with their socialist agenda to corrupt this beautiful website. We need to protect free speech by banning these Satanists, and Satanist misspelled as well. That doesn't sound like the model of free speech that the platform is founded on, does it? Another user said, I think this is the only left-wing channel on Rumble. Well, Jimmy Dore is on there. I thought he was left-wing. Maybe not. American Guy then tracking us all over. We posted the Marjorie Taylor Greene struggling to breathe while talking about mask video. An American Guy says she's struggling to breathe because the demon rats keep forcing her and her constituents to wear a mask. But she's there every day at the White House fighting the good fight. Actually, she doesn't go to the White House, and making sure laws follow the Constitution. And then lastly, a user named Parancho says, you hypocrite, criticize Rumble in Rumble while profiting from it. You must be another Lib Obama fan. So needless to say, we are not exactly being welcomed with open arms on Rumble, but it is a very interesting experiment. And I look forward to seeing what happens. If we get banned, I will absolutely tell you. And you can find our platform there, davidpakman.com/Rumble. Okay. I want to make the announcement. We want this to be a big community event, so I'm starting to announce it now. We are now 3 weeks minus 3 days. I guess that would be like 18 days from Joe Biden's much anticipated State of the Union address. Now, you might remember last year, the Republicans and some in right-wing media were saying Biden can't even stand for half an hour. He's not even going to be able to put a coherent sentence together. He's going to be sundowning at night, all these different. It was a completely normal, uneventful State of the Union. This year, it is particularly anticipated. Yes, the right-wingers are still doing the dementia stuff, but it's particularly anticipated because, number one, Joe Biden's approval rating at this point in his presidency is equal to the lowest we've seen in the polling era. And I mean, you go back to LBJ, John Kennedy, Bush 1, Bush 2, the prior to Biden, the lowest approval at this point in time was Trump, and Biden's approval is down as low as Trump's was. So the real question is anything going to be done at the State of the Union to try to immediately bolster that approval rating? And one of the things that I think is under consideration, this is my speculation, but insiders in DC are saying there is pressure on this. Some kind of renewed mission accomplished on COVID, which some people are very much in favor of and other people are very much against. If it doesn't happen before the State of the Union, I expect that something will happen there, pushing a return to normality. So we will be live on March 1st, starting an hour before the speech on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I hope you'll join us. And in the meantime, let me know on Twitter at @dpacman what you expect to see at the next State of the Union. Don't forget that the best way to support the David Pakman Show is by becoming a member, which gives you access to the daily bonus show, the regular show with no commercials. You also get access to our entire archive of every episode dating back a really long time and plenty of other awesome membership perks. Go to joinpacman.com and use the coupon code BETTER21 for a huge discount. Joinpacman.com. Welcome back to the show. The David Pakman Show is viewer and listener supported media. You can sign up at joinpacman.com to get instant access to the daily bonus show, as well as commercial-free audio and video streams of the show. You can get the show 6 hours before the general public every day, which is just on another level. Sign up at joinpacman.com, coupon code WOW22. Saves you a bunch of money. Let's go to the phones. You can talk to me when we take live calls via Discord at davidpakman.com/Discord. Let's go to, I don't know. How about, let's go to Jack from Indianapolis first today. Jack, you're on the air. What's on your mind? Jack from Indianapolis, please.
Hey, David. So I got a couple of questions for you. The first one would be, have you done any research at all into the way in which music or art subcultures influence politics?
Not as a general topic. I mean, I've read and seen documentaries about specific musical movements, for example, or what have you, and its connection to politics, but not as a general topic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just find that whole kind of realm to be fascinating personally, just the way in which different genres have their own kind of political leanings. Most of them are left-wing.
Yes.
There is the occasional right-leaning scene as well.
Well, in the
it's just kind of
United
interesting
States,
how they're always leaning to the left.
Country music in the U.S. tends to be more right-wing, with exceptions, of course. You know, the Dixie Chicks would be an exception, and there's others. But country music in the U.S. certainly has more of a right-wing bent.
Mhm. Yeah, and even in recent years, country music has kind of started leaning more left. I've heard rumors that more of the country artists in general tend to be more left-leaning than people think.
Interesting.
It's more like kind of private for them, I guess, though.
Yeah. I mean, it also may be, it's private because it would be bad for their ticket sales if it was public.
Yeah, exactly. But also there's like things like black metal and, like death metal tend to have more kind of right-leaning, but like libertarian ideologies versus like, punk rock has always been very hard left, but
Yep.
The occasional right wing strand, like straight edge culture, sometimes is right wing. I don't know. Anyway, I just found that whole thing kind of interesting. And I guess the second question would be, you're a drummer, right?
Yes.
Where can I listen to some of your playing?
Oh, I don't know that there is any. I mean, when at one point I was in a band called Tin Fingers, not 10, but Tin like the Tin Man. And there may be videos floating around of some of our shows. That's the only thing I can think of offhand.
Interesting. Yeah. What was your style? What do you guys play?
That was like alternative, basically modern alternative.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Yeah, 10 Fingers. Okay.
All right,
thanks,
very
David.
good. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, very powerful questions there. Let's go to Marcos from Florida. Marcos from Florida. You were next on today.
Hey, Dave. Hey, I've just been hearing you about some candidates that could be, for election in 2024.
Yeah.
I think they got to be related to the January 6th committee, because they're going to pick a Republican that's all crazy supporting January 6th, and it would be great if one of them will be a candidate for the Democrats. Now, Jamie Raskin is my favorite. He's got great comebacks, and he's really knowledgeable, and he's got a bunch of support from different groups.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what religion he is, but I think he
Yeah.
even have support from non-religious people.
Well,
So
here's
that
the
he's
thing
got-
with Raskin, Marcos. So let me mention. I think Jamie Raskin is extremely smart, fantastic public speaker, has done an incredible job with the Trump impeachment, years ago, and I think he's a fascinating guy. I think that he is going to have an issue because he is Jewish. I think that there are people who don't want, there's anti-Semitism in the U.S. on the right and on the left. And I think Jamie Raskin, among other reasons, may have a little bit of an uphill battle because he is Jewish. But I think he's an interesting guy. I just don't see him as even running, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think Jamie is Jewish for race, but not necessarily a Jewish believer.
Well,
So
you've opened up a very important question. That's the vast majority of Jews. I mean, the Jews in the United States, who are, of course, ethnically Jewish, as you're pointing out, many don't literally believe the teachings. I am one such person. I'm not a religious person at all, but I identify with the Jewish community and ethnicity and culture. Yeah, no, you're right. The problem is the anti-Semites don't care about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other question, real quick, is about Florida. It's a bunch of stuff going on in Florida.
Yeah.
With they're banning books from the schools.
Yes.
They're now they got Nazis all over the place, and the Republican Party is not saying anything about it. Basically, I'm worried about. We already have Christian nationalists in the military.
Yes.
Michael Flynn it's just one of them. And it's QAnon as well. And now we got Nazis. So maybe they're in the military, and it could be pretty bad.
Yeah.
The banning of books is similar to what happened in Germany when they burned books because they were un-German. And now they're doing books because they're not white or they're not religious. The school board said something last week about in my area about saying that, well, if you can't read, a book in church, you shouldn't have it in your library. That's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. It's horrible what's going on in Florida. The other thing you didn't mention, which we talked about earlier this week on the bonus show, is that they're moving this "Don't Say Gay" bill through the Senate, where teachers in primary school won't be allowed to even talk at all about sexual orientation or gender identity. And we of course understand the homophobic and transphobic nature of that. It's wacky what's going on in Florida. I have a couple of invitations for shows that film in Florida, and I'm thinking now that COVID cases are down so low, I may do it soon. So I may be down there doing a little investigating of my own before you know it.
Well, let me know when you come by. Maybe we'll meet.
All right. Yeah, we'll grab an
Thanks,
espresso. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, very good. There's Marcos from Florida. Yeah, it's a COVID hellscape, but the weather is nice. Okay, let's go next to where are we going to go next? Let's go to where are we going? Let's go to Chris from Massachusetts, who I believe is already unmuted because they're a moderator. Chris from Massachusetts, you're on the air.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Hey, so I posted this, just kind of posted in the Pack Pals channel. Was hoping to get your thoughts on this. What do you think about the Democratic Party? It really started to embrace. Well, I'm not saying that they're doing this, but I think it would be a good strategy of embracing the politics and the policies of people like Katie Porter rather than the Squad. There seems to be a cultural difference but not, I will say there's a difference in how Katie Porter and members of the squad approach some of these cultural issues that are important.
Yes.
But they also, Katie Porter does a really good job of, holding people accountable, especially in these interviews that we've seen go viral online.
100%. Listen, I think that there's two different things going on here. You've correctly identified that culturally, Katie Porter has a different tone and approach to issues than the squad. And for me, as an individual, I tend to like Katie Porter's approach a lot. I tend to like it a lot.
Same.
But I think there's a more important piece. It has to be said, Katie Porter's much more knowledgeable on a lot of these issues than the squad types. And I'm not saying it pejoratively. I'm just saying Katie Porter has more experience, particularly in the space of finance and economics, and she's more knowledgeable. And so what I like the most about the Katie Porter approach, it's less cultural for me. It's more about she's just so knowledgeable that you get the sense that she's not only crafted a series of questions that will look a certain way, she understands the issues in detail that are underlying all of those questions. And I love the Katie Porter approach. I think your idea is great.
Yeah, and if you look, I mean, she, was one of the few freshman Congress people to flip a historically red district.
Yes.
And that seems like, when you look at the fact that the younger people that tend to support, the squad types the most, they don't show up and vote.
Mm-hmm.
So the Democrats are kind of stuck with try to influence as much of the independents to come out and vote for them as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And I think these cultural issues turn off those independent types. But Katie Porter, especially with her background in education, she has this really, she's so skilled at pointing out exactly how people's pockets are getting picked.
Yep.
By, banks, a lot of these, property issues. She was going to be, I think, like a housing advisor for Elizabeth Warren. And like you said, she's so knowledgeable on these issues, and she is just able to really communicate to the people, like, this is how you are getting worked over by the people in power.
No,
and I think
no
that's
question
the
about it.
message that really kind of resonates with across the spectrum, and how she was able to flip a district. So I think that, really the energy should. AOC is extremely popular. Ilhan Omar also popular. And they have their place, but I think if we're going to put we're going to put our resources into the place where it's going to have the most impact, it's getting behind people like Katie Porter.
I agree. I think in the context of the conversation about 2024 nominees, I don't know that Katie Porter is an appealing nominee to a lot of people, but that's a different question. And I think everything you've pointed out is absolutely true.
All right. Thanks, David.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. Very good point. Let's go next to John from California. John, you're on the air.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. It sounds like there's birds where you are.
Yes, I'm actually outside on the front porch.
Is it like a titmouse or some kind of parrot? What is that?
No idea. It's in the distance. So,
okay.
So I'm not really sure. Yeah.
No problem. What's going on?
Just enjoying the nature out here. So I had a.
Oh, and we just lost you. It sounded like you were about to say you have and then I'm guessing the word was question, but then we lost you completely. Are you still there?
So I was wondering, so even if there is a divide, wouldn't the Republicans still end up voting for whoever the Republican primary is anyway? Like, because I know you said it still benefits Democrats in a way, but I think they would eventually just go Republican because they want to vote Republican.
Okay, so John, we lost the first half of the question, but I believe I know what it is, which is, even if there is a Republican civil war for now, aren't Republican voters eventually just going to vote for whoever is the nominee? Was that roughly
correct.
Your question?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, I think they generally will. So, like, for example, right now you've got anti-Trump Republicans formerly Trump Republicans and Trump Republicans all battling. They're battling over, was it an insurrection on January 6th? They're battling over, should we censure people like Liz Cheney and Kinzinger? Okay, fine. Eventually, aren't they all going to vote for the nominee? The answer is they mostly will, but when the left isn't really bringing anything super inspirational to the table, what we have to hope is that some of those Republicans will just be disgusted that their wing lost and they'll stay home. I don't think it's likely many of these Republicans would vote for a Democrat in 2024. But if the Republican Party continues the infighting, hopefully some of the Republican voters will just get sick of the whole thing and opt to stay home.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, David. And I just have two quick questions. I know it's just a quick answer that you'll have.
Please.
To both of them. One is the second, or the first one is, do you think there is, I know you're not a virologist, but do you think there's a possible another variant that's out right now that we don't know of? Because I know you said it takes time for us to figure out one.
Yeah, so this is not my opinion. I mean, it's what virologists say is there absolutely are variants out right now that we don't yet know about. That's just the way it works. The question is, do any of them become concerning? And we just don't have an answer to that yet.
Okay, thank you. And the second one is quickly, have you ever thought about contacting Discord about notification disruption during calls? Because I know it's annoying, and I know it's annoying for you.
I think Discord would say we have features to turn that off, and just explain to people how to do it. You know, I don't know that Discord's going to do anything special for me, but.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, thanks a lot.
All right,
David.
thanks, John. Appreciate the call. John from
Yep.
California dropping some serious knowledge on us. Okay, we're going to take a very quick break, but we're not ending calls, okay? So if you would like to speak to me, just hang on, because I'm going right back to the phones in a moment. If you value what we do at The David Pakman Show, remember to support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, where you can get access to behind-the-scenes videos, the Daily Bonus Show, the commercial-free Daily Show, as well as special discounts on merch, including hats, hoodies, mugs, and T-shirts. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month. Check it out at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Let's hear from a few more people in the audience. We are taking calls via Discord at davidpakman.com/Discord. I hope I pronounced this name correctly. Is it Zephaniah from Kansas? Zephaniah, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I just want to say I'm a big fan of your show, and I have a question about Joe Rogan and his podcast.
Please.
So a lot of his episodes were taken down because of his use of the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't have freedom of speech on Spotify. They're a private company. They can do what they want. But would you support Spotify removing content from anyone who uses that type of language? Because I think it's kind of hypocritical for him to be his content to be removed when he's using the word in whatever regard, and then you have rap artists talking about killing people and destroying their communities using the N-word all the time. So do you think that would be fair to just remove anyone who uses that language?
Okay, so here's the thing. What I want to see is Spotify explain the policy and apply it fairly. Now, the policy could be, okay, and this is where it gets complicated. If Spotify wanted, they could say, listen, our policy is on spoken word podcasts, we don't allow the use of the N-word except in what are clearly academic, some kind of academic use where you have some kind of sociology professor who's explaining. I don't even know, but let's just say the policy could just be on spoken word podcasts, we don't allow the word. That being said, we allow it in music or something like that. Now, would that make sense? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if that would make sense. But what I think has to be done is whatever the policy is, it has to be applied to everybody. It can't just be to Joe Rogan. That's my priority. The next part of it is there are tiny podcasts and musicians that almost nobody knows about that are certainly using the word. And so then it becomes, does Spotify even have the wherewithal to police every minute of audio that's on their platform? I don't know. But what I am absolutely certain about is whatever the policy is can't only be applied to Joe Rogan. That's for sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. My pleasure. There's Zephaniah from Kansas. Let's go next. Why don't we let's go to Boris from Denver. Boris, what's going on in Denver these days?
Hey, David, it's just really cold.
Oh, okay.
Some snow here and there, but not too much. I wanted to ask you, been doing some reading for Black History Month, and I was curious. I have an answer to this that I think you would agree with, but I was thinking these days, if Martin Luther King was around, would the right try to smear him as being too woke?
Oh my God, of course. Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Now you see many Republicans now sort of slickly try to appropriate themselves of Martin Luther King and say, we love the ideals of, they'll list a few people. They'll be like Lincoln and Reagan and Martin Luther King or whatever. They would be smearing Martin Luther King as a wokester socialist. And I mean, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. And the thing that really drives me crazy is a lot of them, like I've even seen the new governor of Virginia, they try to quote him when they pass a lot of these anti-critical race theory bills.
Yes.
As if to suggest that Martin Luther King was opposed to critical race theory. And he was just like, an American loving person who just thought, oh, America is just a little flawed, but it's a fundamentally great country and all that. But they'd ignore when he said like America is racist and all that. And one other thing I wanted to ask about this, do you think that, could you see a future? I seriously can see one where they will try to smear him anyways when like his files get released in 2027 and the FBI files show that, he maybe was involved with, there are allegations that he didn't stand up to a friend that was like raping a woman or something like that. He was like casually, he was like in the room as some woman was getting raped and he didn't do anything about it or something like that.
Listen, I've never heard that before, so I don't know anything about that. I couldn't possibly make any predictions about that. I've just not heard that. I couldn't comment on that.
Okay, well, I've seen, there was like a report that came out not too long, probably a few years ago, that I saw Gavin McInnes did on his show, and even Tucker Carlson tried to cover. And I think they were just trying to like, I just felt like it was the start of what I see 10 years from now. The right is going to completely portray Martin Luther King as this bad person. So,
yep, I think, I mean, they'll do both things. They will attack Martin Luther King when it's convenient, and they will take credit for Martin Luther King when it's convenient. And they're already kind of doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing before I get off, do you have any plans, or would you be opposed to going back on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I've not been invited. I would go back on anytime.
Okay, cool. I'd love to see you back on there. Hopefully you have them course correct. Thank you.
I would love to do it. All right. Thank you so much for the call. Very much appreciate it. Let's go next to Dave from, is it Heldsburg? I can't quite see.
It's Healdsburg, sir. Thank you so much. I'm honored to speak to a frickin' predator.
Yes, thank you. Oh, hold on, I have that drop.
That is a frickin' predator.
There it is.
There.
Where is Healdsburg?
Healdsburg is in Sonoma County, just north of San Francisco, about 75 miles.
Beautiful area.
Wine country. Yeah, I'm currently standing in a vineyard. It's a wonderful life. So,
I got to get back. I've been to a bunch of the vineyards there, and it is just great. There's this, I believe in downtown Napa. There's like a high-end food court called the, oh man, I don't even remember. It's just a great area.
I very much enjoy it myself. I've lived here my whole life. So,
well, what's on your mind today?
I farm grapes for a living. So I'm calling to talk about Joe Rogan as well.
Okay.
Everybody. Little context, I started with Joe Rogan at episode 36 in June of 2010. I never missed an episode until October 2020 when I couldn't take it anymore. The COVIDiocy and the things that he was saying about politics in general, bashing on Biden, seemingly ignoring all the problems with Trump, I more or less gave it up. But I've gone back to listening when the pandemic is out, and I think people are missing some significant things here. The audience of Joe Rogan, they don't care about fact checkers. They don't care what the mainstream media says. And the more they attack him, the more they're going to run to him.
Yes.
If there's any chance at course correction, somebody needs to go on the Rogan podcast and talk him out of the bad ideas that he has clung on to. And I don't know who that person is. I wonder if you have any ideas.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know that there's any one person who can talk him out of everything. I think it's, with Rogan, it's a lot of, he'll listen to anybody he has on. The challenge is getting the right people on. And I'd be glad to be on any time with him. I'm not an expert in a lot of the areas in which he's allowed incorrect information to fester. I'm aware of the fact that the information is wrong, but I'm not an expert in that. But I don't think there is any one person. I think it would take sort of like a concerted effort of bringing on different types of guests for an extended period of time, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you could do is point out to him that he's far too inclined to accept a person's supposed qualifications. I mean, even in his apology for when he came on the first time for the video, he immediately threw out the qualifications of McCullough and Malone as though that alone makes anything that they say true. Yes, which is just absolutely wrong. And then, of course, when it came to the apology for the N-word video, a previous caller just got it wrong. I don't think Spotify took those down. I think Rogan took them down. I think he got tired of having those out there. Out of thousands of episodes, what's it matter if there's 110? It only benefited him as well because now people think he's under attack and people are taking his episodes down.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
the statement was that Spotify has taken them down. What you're suggesting is that what's been reported isn't true, which is possible, but I think we should be clear that this is just your opinion.
Yeah, and that's based on what he said in his apology video for that. I think it's far more likely that he didn't want it out there anymore because he saw himself in the video, and like he said, it made him sick to his stomach just to see himself saying those things. So no harm in taking him down when there's thousands of episodes. It's not like anybody was going to go listen to him. I mean, that's the thing with McCullough and Malone's episodes too. Put fact checks on them, take them down, censor them. It doesn't matter. That information's already out there. At this point, the Rogan mantra of the only thing to do with bad speech is to combat it with good speech is the only strategy that can work going forward.
I agree with you.
Somebody has to go on and talk him out of those bad ideas. David, I'm a huge fan, have been for a long time, member, and this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate your support. And as a member, Dave gets access to the much derided bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money. Everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
All right. Let's go next and let's go to Chuck from Pittsburgh. Chuck, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I don't really have any questions, but I just kind of had some thoughts to put out there. One is we have all these people on the right that talk about they're pro-life and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've never heard any, I wonder what their views would be, because I feel like a lot of these people are also racist. What's their views on racist pro-life? Because I feel like a lot of these people don't like black people or Jews, and what do you think their views on that would be?
I don't even know what are their views on racist pro-life? What does that mean?
Well, so a lot of I feel like a lot of racists are also on the right, and a lot of pro-life people are on the right.
Yeah.
that aren't for abortion. So like, what would their thoughts be on like a black person having an abortion? Like, do they even care, or you know what I mean?
Well, they claim to, and this is actually something that the pro-life right will use. They'll say abortion is incredibly racist because look at the use of abortion by black pregnant women, and it's particular. So they, whether they're racist or not, they pretend or claim to be concerned about aborted black babies as part of their anti-abortion stance. Now, you know, whether they're genuine in that concern or not is a totally different question.
They're basically just playing along to act like they care about their views.
Well, I can't say act. They claim to care, I think is the point.
Gotcha,
and whether they do or don't, I don't know.
Yeah. And then just another thing too, like I'm from Pittsburgh, to that bridge collapse.
Yeah.
I saw on Facebook, a lot of people were like commenting on the thing, and a lot of people are just complaining about like, you know, we pay taxes and why wasn't this taken care of? And it's like, I feel like a lot of these people also don't realize that like I understand the bridge was in poor condition, but like also like you could just have like a bridge that was in great condition and accidents can happen. Like,
yeah, statistically speaking, I mean, we have sort of a normal distribution where, like, for the most part, if the bridges are fine, they're not going to collapse. Every once in a while, you get bridges in terrible shape that don't collapse. And every once in a while, you get a bridge that's okay as far as engineers are concerned, and it does collapse. But correct me if I'm wrong, the bridge that collapsed did not have a good structural rating. Did it not?
Correct. Yeah, it was in poor condition.
Yeah.
I was just saying though, like I saw all these people commenting about like, you know, I can't believe they would let this happen and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, it was in poor condition, but like, I mean, accidents can happen. It could have been in great condition and happened too, you know.
It could.
Like,
and also there's dozens of, I mean, there was a report, there's like dozens or even hundreds of bridges in New Jersey with the exact same condition, and they'll mostly be fine, but this could happen again at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like I said, I didn't really have any questions. Been watching since probably about the beginning of the pandemic when everybody kind of hyper focused on politics.
Yeah.
Because of all that. So, but yeah, I'm a member, like the show, and just keep up the good work.
All right. Thanks, Chuck. Very much appreciate it. That's going to do it for calls today. We will take a quick break and be back with much more. And if you didn't get on today, there will be more opportunities. Follow us on social media, interact with the David Pakman Show community, see exclusive content, see when we're taking calls live, and stay up to date on other big show announcements. We post daily. Find us on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and TikTok. All right, let's get to the mailbag. People loving the mailbag, emails pouring in about the mailbag. Info@davidpakman.com is the place to write to. Abuse it and lose it. 120 viewers now auto-filtered into the trash because they are sending too many emails. Okay, let's get right into it. One of the best parts of when we stream large live events like a Trump rally or a debate or whatever is lots of people looking for coverage of that event who have never heard of our show stumble across the stream. And this generally is a great thing. It's one of the fastest ways that we grow our new audience. The downside, maybe, it's sort of like a funny, you know, it's a mixed bag, is people who are right-wing nuts who stumble across our coverage and then get really mad when they realize that they are watching a left-wing stream. And I got a bunch of those. Thanks to the Trump rally. AR wrote in, you're an absolute arsehole. I continued listening to Trump's speech, but I'm sickened by your idiotic commentary. Learn a bit of history, you arsehole. You're more interested in giving a commentary on the audience than anything of importance in the speech. That's absolutely untrue, and I take issue with it. Can't wait to see you give applause during Joe's next garbled, unintelligible, lie-ridden diatribe to 6 people. I can't think of any time I've applauded during a Joe Biden speech. Finishing with Y-O-U-R. It's almost legally required in hate mail that the wrong your versus your is used. You're a total C word sent from my iPhone. Okay. So this is one of the greatest parts about covering Trump rallies. People just looking for the rally stumble across and are highly triggered, and people just looking for the rally are stumble across us and go, hey, I like this guy. I'm going to subscribe to the channel. Similarly, Mitchell wrote in all capital letters about our coverage of the Trump rally, who said, Mr. Packman, misspelled, of course. As a conservative American, I love my country. I love our Constitution. And people like you are pathetic libtards. The way they love the Constitution is weird, because much of what Trump said during the rally was completely indicative of not caring at all about the Constitution. Do society a favor. I'm choking over the words. Do society a favor and commit suicide. I think they meant suicide. Get the F out of my country. What a country we live in, folks. What a country. Don't know that there's much more commentary to make about Mitchell's email. And then lastly, as many of you know, Alex Jones recently went after us, InfoWars conspiracy theorist going after me for looking like a predator and not taking live phone calls, which of course we do. He attacked the bonus show as well.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money. Everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
Yeah. And here's a message from Bobby, who was really pleased with the InfoWars segment. Watch InfoWars today. Ha, ha, ha. It was very sweet watching you get completely busted on InfoWars. You are a total loser. Suck it, a-hole BS artist. What I love about that particular message is that Alex Jones is so diminished in his audience because he's been kicked off every real platform. He's off YouTube. He's off Facebook. I think he's off Spotify. I don't know. He has almost no platform left. So at the end, I only got 2 emails and 1 voicemail from people who saw the Alex Jones segment and agreed with him. It's really something how his platform has just evaporated almost completely. All right, next is Kate. Kate has a good, let's get now to the substance. Kate wrote in, why do far-right Republicans keep burning things? Hey, David, as a frequent listener, you piqued my curiosity when you mentioned Carhartt's vaccine mandate for employees and how that caused right-wing customers to burn their own clothing. I couldn't help but see a parallel between this and the Nike items being burned and destroyed after Colin Kaepernick protested police brutality and racial inequality in 2016. Well, also remember when they threw their Keurigs out the window. Why do far-right Republicans keep burning things? What does this accomplish? What's next? Books? Books. The planet, they're already doing that. I truly don't understand. This might be worth inviting a guest on your show with a background in psychology or something of the like to discuss and investigate further. Thank you for being such an honest, engaging source of truth. Yeah, if anybody, I don't know exactly who would have expertise in this, but it would be very interesting to speak to someone who can explain psychologically this phenomenon of burning stuff and the flame retardant Carhartt clothes impervious to burn attempts from their very people. You really can't write this stuff, but if anybody can suggest such a guest as Kate is mentioning, we would be glad to reach out to them. Christoph writes in about couldn't care less. David, sir, I watched your segment today about the poorly capitalized Tucker Carlson Today show and his misogynistic propensity for a patriarchal society. There was audible cheering in my house when Carlson's guest said I could care less about what people call him, and you stopped the clip to correct the statement. Absolutely. Using that phrase incorrectly drives me insane because it makes zero sense to the point of the individual supposedly not caring. It is very common to hear it phrased incorrectly, even by highly educated people. Thank you for correcting it. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to use couldn't instead of could for the phrase? I don't know. I mean, guys, listen, think about it logically. If you could care less, you're saying you care, right? Imagine the phrase, I could care less, but I actually care more. So the correct phrase is, I couldn't care less. I care so little, I couldn't possibly care any less because I already care zero. Please, guys, please go out there into your communities and do what you can to make sure that the phrase is used correctly. I appreciate Christoph noticing my commitment to that phrase. And quite frankly, I could care less about how the phrase is used. And by that, I mean, I care. I hope that that's clear to everybody. Stephen wrote in with an existential question and wrote, are traditional peanut butter cookies actually candy? Traditional peanut butter cookie recipes consist of peanut butter, sugars, eggs, and sometimes vanilla. Is it candy? So I think the answer is no. And I'm going to give you two reasons why. First of all, many peanut butter cookies as their primary ingredients have peanut butter and or flour. Now, I know that there are peanut butter cookie recipes that contain no flour. And so you've got peanut butter, and then often it's a very high amount of sugar. I still think that they're not candy. I think we could consider them junk food, but candy typically has as the primary ingredient sugar or chocolate. Like chocolate-based candies would have chocolate and then sugar. So I don't think, and this is a question of paramount importance, I don't believe that peanut butter cookies can be qualified as candy, but I am open to having my mind changed on that. All right, here's a really important email I got. Last week during the Tucker Carlson Patriarchy Jason Whitlock segment, I said that I don't have any problem exploring questions about men and women, that they're, preemptively shutting down areas and saying we can't talk about that. I have a problem with, but we need to understand what it is we're looking to do with that information and whether we actually already have the information, and claiming that we're just asking questions is a way to troll because we already know the answers. I got an email that from a female fan who said, David, flirting with misogyny. David, listen, I just watched your video called Tucker Guest Says Patriarchy is Good. And I was a little put off by the way you spoke about it. Sure, you acknowledged that the idea of a natural patriarchy is wrong, but then you said you're open to investigating potential biological differences like math aptitude. My goodness. Imagine you said you're down to investigate whether Asians are biologically better at math than whites. It's been investigated. They're not. Or whatever. Come on now. I get that most of your audience are likely dudes, but I think they can handle it. No need to coddle their egos in this way. This is a really sad email. It is now 2022, and it blows my mind even educated humans like yourself are still saying S like this. Just sounds ignorant, sir. I'd even say you're flirting with misogyny. I'm a fanboy. I'm a fan, but boy, that was disappointing to hear. I could not disagree with this more strongly. I am against saying, here's a list of questions you can't explore at all. You just can't explore it. I mean, listen, guys, if it turned out women were way better at cardiothoracic surgery for some reason that didn't relate to economics or geography or whatever, right? Like if women were just, we researched it and we determined there is something inherent. Women are better at cardiothoracic surgery. I would want to go to a woman for cardiothoracic surgery. Now, it might turn out that because of historical oppression against men in that field, we're making this up, that there's really there's an observable difference which we can explain to discrimination. I would also want to know that. Why would we say that can't be looked at? So I think it's very dangerous when folks take this approach that you can't even ask these questions. The issue I have is that these questions have been asked for a long time, and we have answers to just about all of them. And as I pointed out, there's no evidence that women are less capable for jobs other than circumstances in which there may be a physical limitation. Okay, listen, you got to lift 200 pounds. And many men and most women can't lift 200 pounds. So you're restricted to mostly men and a small percentage of women who can lift 200 pounds. Okay, we've got an explanation. But I am very concerned about these things where these things cannot even be explored. Part two, by the way, is if you explore things like this in a fair way, the imperative is, what are you going to do with the information? Is the information going to be used to discriminate? Is the information going to be used to insult? Or even worse, that's also a factor. So I am not one of these just asking questions people, and every question I ask is being asked specifically and in bad faith to justify discrimination. The more of these questions that get asked, the more we learn that discrimination is inappropriate and it's wrong and it's unproductive. Okay, but the email saying you can't even ask that's not the left I recognize. That's not the left I recognize at all. Okay, last email here from William, offering pardons to the rioters. Isn't Trump also signaling to future rioters that he will pardon them, thus setting the stage for election-related riots in the future? Yes, to some degree. So at the Conroe, Texas rally, when Trump said, first of all, not only did he say we may pardon some of the rioters, he also said we're going to have some of the biggest protests ever, sort of, again, alluding to more violent protests, because that's what a lot of his followers want to do. He absolutely is starting to plant a seed about future potential repeats in different contexts of what happened on January 6th. And his devout followers know it. They recognize it. And it's very, very dangerous. What we have to do is prevent Trump from being in a position to be able to convince people to do that. Send your emails to info@davidpakman.com. We have a great bonus show for you today. Sign up at joinpakman.com and you will get instant access to today's bonus show.